Humans love to brag about how advanced we are. We split atoms, stream movies from space, and build machines that can beat grandmasters at chess while we nap. Still, for all that power, we run into tiny limits that remind us we're not as in control as we like to think. I'm Mike with List 25, and these are 25 everyday things humans just can't do, and why. But before we begin, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe with that notification bell. It truly helps the channel. And let us know what other biology topics you'd like to see next. 25. Walk in a straight line with eyes closed. Walking in a straight line with your eyes closed sounds simple. But the moment you shut your eyes, your sense of direction starts drifting. Vision normally anchors your movement, keeping you aligned with the world around you. Without it, your brain leans entirely on your inner ear and the feedback from your muscles and joints. But those signals are a little noisy. Even the smallest imbalance builds up, pushing you off course. You may feel like you're going perfectly straight, yet you slowly curve without noticing. Some people swear they can do it better than others, but nobody can maintain a perfect line for long. Pride loses to biology every single time. 24. Lick your own elbow. Trying to lick your own elbow is almost a rite of passage. The moment someone mentions it, people instinctively try. Yeah, I see you doing it right now. Then reality hits. Your shoulder joint only twists so far, your arm bones only bend so much, and your tongue length definitely does not make up the difference. The limitation is mechanical, not motivational. Even people with above average flexibility run into the same wall because geometry simply doesn't allow it. A rare handful of people can reach their elbow, but that is due to unusual limb proportions rather than skill or training. Most of us are stuck with the same basic design. Evolution built our arms for strength, grip, and range of motion suited for survival, not novelty tricks. So the elbow remains just out of reach. 23. Tickle yourself. Tickling yourself never works the way you'd expect. You know exactly where you're most sensitive, yet the moment you try, the sensation loses its spark. That's because your brain predicts your own movements with incredible accuracy. When you move your hand toward your skin, the brain labels the sensation as expected before it even arrives. This prediction cancels the surprise, and the laughter never kicks in. When someone else tickles you, the unpredictability lights up your nervous system. Your body reacts to the unknown, not the familiar. This filtering system helps you stay focused on the world instead of being overwhelmed by constant self-generated sensations. If tickling yourself worked, everyday actions like brushing your arm or scratching an itch would trigger chaos. The brain keeps these things calm by muting your own touch. 22. Sneeze with your eyes open. Sneezing is a powerful reflex that pulls several muscle groups into one explosive moment. Your chest tightens, your diaphragm contracts, and your eyes snap shut every single time. You can try to fight it, but the reflex will override you. The automatic eyelid closure protects your eyes from sudden pressure changes, irritants, and any particles that might come flying out as the sneeze bursts forward. Some people insist they can keep their eyes open, but it's medically advised not to do it. The body treats eye safety as high priority and doesn't leave it up to your personal determination. Even trained performers and athletes cannot fully suppress that reflex. It's one of those instincts wired deep into our design. 21. Breathe and swallow at the same time. Breathing and swallowing are two actions that share a narrow passageway in the throat. The body uses a small flap called the epiglottis to direct traffic. When you swallow, that flap closes off the airway, pausing your breath until the swallow completes. You cannot override this pause. The system exists to keep food and drink from slipping into the lungs, which would be far more dangerous than momentarily holding your breath. Babies often struggle while learning this coordination, which is why feeding can get messy. Even adults sometimes choke while trying to eat too fast. The body will always prioritize protecting the airway over multitasking. No amount of practice changes the fact that you must choose between breathing or swallowing. You cannot do both at once. 20. Hum while holding your nose. Humming feels like a simple mouth-based sound, but it depends heavily on airflow through your nose. When you hum, your vocal cords vibrate while air resonates in your nasal passage to shape the tone. Pinch your nose, and the resonance chamber closes instantly. The sound cuts off, leaving only a faint vibration in your throat. People often react with surprise because it seems like humming should still work. But without the pathway through the nose, the hum has nowhere to travel. This is also why having a stuffy nose changes your voice, making everything sound clogged or muted. Singing instructors emphasize breath pathways for this exact reason. The nose plays a far bigger role in producing sound than most people realize. 19. Swallow twice in a row without pausing. Swallowing is a coordinated wave of muscle contractions that moves from the top of the throat downward. Once the muscles engage, they must reset before they can fire again. Go ahead. Try to swallow twice with no pause. And you'll feel the motion stall. The throat simply cannot reload fast enough. Even when you swallow nothing, the mechanism behaves the same way because it relies on timing rather than what you're swallowing. This built-in delay prevents confusion in the airway, reduces choking risk, and ensures each swallow completes cleanly. If the system fired again too quickly, food or liquid could get trapped or misdirected. Even trained professionals cannot speed up this cycle beyond its natural rhythm. The body enforces its own timing. 18. Wiggle each toe independently. Your fingers can move independently because each one has separate muscles and nerves controlling fine motion. Toes, however, operate on shared tendons that link movements together. Seriously, try lifting your fourth toe without moving the others. Yeah, and you'll feel them twitch in unison. The design prioritizes stability for standing and walking over precision control. While a few people can train slight independence, true toe mobility remains rare because the wiring simply doesn't support it. Evolution shaped our feet for support, balance, and endurance, not dexterity. Hand-like control would compromise strength and structure. So when you attempt individual toe movements, the body defaults to group action. The limitation is practical, not personal. 17. Rotate your hand a full circle. While cartoons often show characters whirling their hands around in the full circle, human anatomy prevents this from happening in real life. The radius and ulna, the bones of your forearm, are designed to rotate around one another. This twisting motion is what lets your palm face up or down. When the bones approach their limit, the ligaments around them halt any further rotation, which helps prevent injury. Even the most flexible people cannot overcome this structural barrier. Push too far, and you risk strain or damage. Joints are designed for useful ranges of motion, not dramatic rotations. The system works beautifully for everyday tasks, but it will never allow for a full spin. That kind of rotation would require an entirely different skeletal layout. 16. See your own eyes move in a mirror. Your eyes make rapid, jumpy movements called saccades. These shifts happen so quickly that your brain masks the blur to keep your view stable. When you look at your reflection and shift your gaze, the brain hides the movement just as it does in everyday life. You never see your own eyes mid-jump because the visual system edits it out. You only see the position before and after. Cameras can capture the darting action, but your eyes cannot observe themselves in motion. The brain values stability over transparency, smoothing out the chaos to keep your world from looking shaky or disjointed. It's an elegant trick, but one that makes self-observation impossible. 15. You can't stay awake forever. Staying awake forever is impossible because the body has built-in systems that force rest. Unless you're Batman. As sleep debt grows, the brain begins triggering microsleeps, which are tiny involuntary blackouts lasting fractions of a second. You cannot stop them once they begin. The longer you go without sleep, the more these blackouts take over. Your thoughts blur, your memory falters, and your sense of reality begins to twist. Sleep is not optional maintenance. It is essential for immune function, emotional stability, and brain cleanup. Even if you fight it with caffeine, cold air, or sheer determination, the body eventually overrides you. People can delay sleep, but nobody can eliminate the need for it. 14. Hold your breath until you die. You can hold your breath only until carbon dioxide levels in your blood reach a dangerous threshold. At that point, the brainstem takes over and forces you to breathe, regardless of your intentions. If you try to push past that point, you will simply pass out. Once unconscious, your body's autopilot resumes breathing automatically. Divers train to extend their breath holds, but that reflex cannot be defeated. The body treats oxygen regulation as non-negotiable. This is the same mechanism that causes gasping after being underwater for too long. The instinct is hardwired and cannot be shut off by choice. 13. Thinking you won't get dizzy after spinning in one place. When you spin in place, the fluid inside your semicircular canals continue moving even after you stop. Your inner ear signals that you are still turning while your eyes insist that you have stopped. This mismatch sends mixed signals that throw off your balance, creating that classic dizzy feeling. You cannot train your inner ear to stop the fluid instantly. Dancers and skaters learn spotting techniques to manage that dizziness, but they don't eliminate it. The sensation comes from physics, not inexperience. Until the fluid settles, your balance remains confused. The limit is built into the structure of the inner ear itself. 12. Flex your pinky without your ring finger moving at all. The moment you try, you feel that tiny tug on the ring finger jumping in like an uninvited backup dancer. This happens because the tendons in your hand are grouped together in ways that favor strength over precision. Your pinky and ring finger share connective pathways, so when one engages, the other reacts whether you want it to or not. Even if you focus hard and try to isolate that pinky, the ring finger still twitches because that muscle that controls them, well, they're paired inside your forearm. Humans evolved hands built for gripping branches, tools, and heavy objects, not performing delicate solo moves. So no matter how much you practice, the pinky refuses to act alone, and the ring finger always joins the show. 11. Force yourself to sneeze on command. A sneeze looks simple, but it's a coordinated reflex triggered only when your trigeminal nerve detects irritation strong enough to justify the blast. You can shine a bright light, sniff pepper, wiggle your nose, or imagine dust floating around, but none of it guarantees the nerve will fire. Your sneeze is part of a built-in defense system meant to clear debris, not entertain you or obey your schedule. Even when you feel that almost sneeze sensation, you cannot will it into existence unless the stimulus crosses the threshold your body requires. The reflex sits deep in the brainstem, outside your conscious control. You can fake a cough or imitate a shiver, but a real sneeze, that sounded like Hank Hill. But a real sneeze refuses to be staged on demand. It arrives only when your body approves the request. And you can fake it. Like that. That was fake. Wasn't a real sneeze. 10. Recall life before age 3. Everyone carries a blank fog where early memory should be. Not because nothing happened, but because the system responsible for forming long-term memories was still in development. The hippocampus, which handles storing and organizing personal experiences, is busy wiring itself during those years. Even if moments felt vivid at the time, the brain lacked the stable architecture needed to keep them. Language also plays a role because memories become easier to store once you can describe and label events. Before that, experiences pass through as sensations without a durable framework. As you grow, newer memories overwrite early fragments, leaving you with scattered impressions at best. This phenomenon is called childhood amnesia, and no matter how hard you try to mentally reach back, the earliest chapters remain sealed off. 9. See in true darkness. Humans need photons for vision, and without them, the visual system has nothing to work with. Your eyes can adjust impressively in low light by relying on more rods, but that only works when some light exists. In complete darkness, where not a single photon is bouncing around, the retina receives no information. Waving your hand in front of your face, like John Cena, does nothing because there's no light reflecting off it. And now you can't see me either. Oh my goodness. People often say their eyes adjust to darkness, but that phrase only applies when there's at least a faint glow somewhere. True dark removes sight entirely, leaving you dependent on touch and hearing. Humans evolved for daytime living, not deep cave or outer space conditions, so the visual system simply shuts down when light disappears completely. Like when you go through a Space Mountain at Epcot, when you go through Space Mountain on the People Mover at Magic Kingdom, you get that pitch black for a bit. Can't see a thing. 8. Running without your arms swinging. You can try to pin your arms to your side like a determined statue, but the moment you start moving, your body fights the idea. This feels ridiculous, and I'm also just kind of jumping up and down, not moving forward, but arm swings counterbalance the rotation created by your legs, keeping your torso aligned with your steps steady. When one leg drives forward, the opposite arm naturally swings to offset the twist. Without that motion, your stride feels clunky, your rhythm falls apart, and your energy use jumps because your body works harder to stay upright. This isn't just a habit, it's built into human biomechanics. Even trained runners struggle to stop the movement because the brain coordinates arm and leg patterns automatically. Running becomes awkward and unstable when the arms cannot do their supportive job. 7. Recognize every face perfectly. Humans are solid at recognizing familiar faces, but we hit our limit fast because the brain does not store perfect image files. It saves blended impressions based on features we notice most, like eye shape, jawline, or hairstyle. I need a haircut. When someone new shares enough of those traits with a person you already know, your brain fills the gaps and assumes a match. Lighting, angle, aging, expression, and even mood can throw off your recognition. You might be sure you've seen someone before, only discover it's your brain confusing patterns. We evolved to identify people in small social groups, not memorize thousands of faces across a lifetime. That short-based system helps us move through the world quickly, but it also means misfires are unavoidable. No matter how sharp you feel, perfect facial recall is not something the human mind can deliver. 6. Hear ultrasonic or infrasonic sounds. Human ears are built with a specific physical range, roughly 20 to 20,000 hertz, and anything outside that window is simply unreachable. Ultrasonic sounds are too fast for our eardrums to vibrate along with, while infrasonic sounds are too slow for the hair cells in the cochlea to pick up. Animals like bats, dogs, and whales and elephants can hear these extremes because their ear structures evolved differently. Ours works beautifully for speech, music, and everyday communication, but the trade-off is a limited spectrum. Even if you strain your ears, I don't know if this was what it looks like to strain your ears, but go with me, or use your imagination, the vibrations never register because biology doesn't allow it. The world is full of tones and signals we will never directly experience no matter how hard we try, and our hearing remains tuned to the human band. 5. Stay balanced on one foot with eyes closed for long. Balance feels easy when your eyes are open. You can't see it, but I'm on one foot now. Because vision constantly updates your brain on your position. Take that away, and I'm already doing it, the entire system loses its strongest reference point. Now you depend on the pressure under your foot, signals from your joints, and tiny cues from your inner ear. Those signals are helpful, but they're not perfect, and small wobbles quickly grow into bigger ones. Even athletes wobble after enough seconds because the brain struggles to correct the accumulating errors. The longer you stand, the more your muscles fatigue and the harder it becomes to stay still. Balance is a team sport between senses, and when vision sits out, the remaining players can't keep you steady forever. 4. Not flinch at a sudden loud noise. The startle reflex does its job faster than conscious thought. A loud bang hits your brainstem before your awareness kicks in, causing your shoulders to jump, your eyes to blink, and your body to tense. This response evolved to protect you from threats, giving your body a head start before you even register danger. You might try to stay cool, but the reflex does not ask for permission. Even expecting the noise doesn't fully stop the reaction because it lives in a part of the brain that doesn't care about logic or willpower. You can reduce how dramatic the flinch looks, but you cannot shut the system off. It's been part of human survival for thousands of years, and it's not going anywhere. 3. Keep perfect posture for hours. Perfect posture demands effort that wears you down over time. Holding your spine aligned uses small stabilizing muscles that tire gradually, forcing your body to shift or relieve the strain. You move without meaning to, leaning, slouching, tightening your shoulders, or adjusting your hips. Even when you promise yourself you'll stay perfectly still, your body votes otherwise because it doesn't enjoy staying locked in one position. Blood flow changes, pressure points build, and discomfort grows until movement becomes the easiest solution. Humans are built for motion, not statue mode, which is why no one maintains flawless posture forever. Even trained dancers and performers eventually need to reset. 2. Walk backward as smoothly as forward. Walking forward feels natural because you've done it ever since you were tiny, building patterns in your brain through years of repetition. Your eyes guide your steps, your legs know the rhythm, and everything works in sync. Walking backwards removes those visual cues and forces your body to rely on unfamiliar movement patterns. The muscles fire in different order, your balance shifts, and your brain has far less practice coordinating the whole motion. Without the forward-facing map you usually rely on, each step becomes a careful guess rather than an automatic glide. That's why walking backward feels a little slower, choppier, and even a little uncertain, even if you are athletic. The system simply has not logged enough miles. 1. Burp normally in space. On Earth, what stops the gases and liquid from mixing in our stomach is gravity. Gas, being lighter than liquid, naturally floats to the surface. Consequently, a burp is typically nothing more than a release of air. The laws of physics take on a totally different character in the void. In the absence of gravity, gas bubbles don't rise. Instead, they disperse uniformly throughout the stomach. Attempting to burp in microgravity? Well, you're likely to unleash a chaotic, bubbly eruption rather than a simple, contained release of air. Astronauts call this a wet burp, and everyone on the International Space Station does their best to avoid it. Digestion still works, but the physics behind burping simply do not behave the same way. Without gravity helping the process, your body cannot guarantee a tidy release, turning a normal reflex into something unpredictable. And that's it for today. But be honest with me, how many of these did you try anyway? All of them? Yeah, I see you. Now, if you want to learn about the secrets of the human brain that'll shock you, check out this video right here. And like I said, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, notification bell, do all that fun stuff. And I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.